You know what? You got a point.
That is portable treats. That's like the cyanide in your tooth of the FBI for your flavor.
All right. The deck is built around Norin, Swift Survivalist. Uh, it's
Interesting.
1 red mana for a legendary creature, Human Coward. Norin cannot block, and whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, you may exile it, and you may play that card from exile this turn, and is a 2/1.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because when I saw this card spoiled, my first thought was like mono red blink,
I
which
I went a different route.
interesting. Okay,
I
please
didn't
do
want to
share.
stick with mono red blink.
Okay, okay.
I wanted to start with mono red block abilities. So like whenever the creature
Oh,
becomes blocked, whenever whatever, right?
for
Because I
sure.
was like,
Yeah.
no matter what, it's triggering.
Mm.
And I started with that, but I never ended with it.
Oh,
It just kept going, and I did not expect that many cards to do that kind of effect. But apparently, in
wow.
red, there is so much.
That doesn't surprise me, honestly.
Like, I mean, in red, it makes perfect sense, but like,
Yeah, red likes doing combat stuff.
I did not expect there to be somewhere around 35 creatures that have
Oh my
that
god.
kind of ability. Like,
Oh
that's
wow.
crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy.
Anyway, a amazing card in the deck
Hmm.
is another Norin. So,
OG.
Norin the Wary, 1 red legendary creature, human warrior this time.
Ooh.
Whenever a player plays a spell or a creature attacks, remove Norin from the game, return it to its owner's control at the end of turn.
Beautiful.
It's stupid. It's so funny.
It's so great.
It's like Norin can never be targeted
He
because
can be
upon
targeted and stay on the battlefield.
yeah, exactly. They can target it, but Norin the Wary ability will resolve first.
Oh god, that's so good. It's like and
It's
then
not
gone.
good, even in the slightest, but it is so funny.
Oh gosh. And it keeps your Norin alive, and it allows him to re-enter the battlefield.
Exactly. And we
Beautiful.
have some pretty important effects. I may as well go through those.
Yeah.
So we've got two classics actually.
Mm,
Warstorm Surge
naturally.
and Impact Tremors.
Impact Tremors, love it. Love both of those. Like that alone with Norin is dealing like 3 damage
Mm-hmm.
per turn. Per turn. That puts people on like a pretty big clock. A pretty big clock, but like even still, that gives you so much, and that's per turn, not just per your turn. It's whenever a player plays a spell or a creature attacks. That's happening at least once per turn on everybody's turn. So by the end of your turn cycle, that's 12 damage,
Which is insane.
which is crazy. That's we love to see it. Okay,
Um,
cool. So it sounds like this deck is very burn heavy.
yeah, really burn heavy actually. Except it's burn on creatures.
Mm,
Speaking of
okay.
not necessarily enter the battlefield triggers, but a block
Mm,
triggers on an enchantment.
whoa.
It's close quarters. 2 of any mana, 2 red for an
Mm,
enchantment that says whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, it
oh
deals
my
1 damage to target creature or player.
And this deck is optimized for creatures blocking.
Exactly. Like,
Beautiful.
people will want to block your creatures, and if they don't, you can make them.
Wow.
Speaking of making them block your creatures, which is so insane, I just want to say. The fact that there is on any more than one card that forces your opponents to block with their creatures is insane.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, you're doing funky combat stuff all the time.
Especially in red.
Especially in red.
So we only have 2 instants that do this.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know which one's the best, personally.
Yeah? Okay.
But we'll start
Hit
with
me, hit me with them. I'll weigh in.
yeah. See if you can determine.
Okay.
The first one is False Orders. It's 1 red mana for an instant that says you can only cast this spell during Declare Blocker step.
Oh, okay.
It then says remove target creature defending player controls from combat. Creatures it was blocking that had become blocked by only that creature this combat become unblocked. You may have it block an attacking creature of your choice.
Okay, interesting.
So, complicated wording, easiest way to say it is basically you remove a blocker from combat, you can then declare that blocker to another attacker of yours.
Interesting.
1 red mana.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's only going to do 1 creature.
But even still, that could mean that your like they have like a real big guy that you're like Caldera Hellion is being blocked by. Like say they're playing like Eldrazi, and they have like I don't know an Emrakul and they're blocking your Hellion, and you're like no, I don't actually want that, and so you end up blocking their little guy. Make it be blocked by an Eldrazi spawn. That still triggers your effects.
Yeah, which is I love the fact that this card actually okay. So you can kind of have whatever creature you want go to exile until end of turn.
And that's pretty damn good with some stuff that has a lot of ETB effects.
Or even block effects.
True.
uh
Yeah.
so this is the second
Oh my god, you're right,
card
yeah.
that can change up blockers. It's called Melee.
Oh god, that's a lot of text.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna sum it up because this is an old card, and it's really easy to sum up. You ready? So
Perfect.
it's 4 of any mana, 1 red for an instant that says you can only play it during your combat phase before blockers are declared.
Okay.
The rest of the cards basically says instead of defending player, you choose how each creature blocks this turn. Whenever a creature attacks and isn't blocked, untap it and remove it from combat.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay. So it's similar to false orders, but it's just like an overloaded effect of false orders.
exactly, yes. The
Hey,
difference is you can. Okay.
hit me with it.
Yeah, so you can basically, instead of attacking one player, you can attack a different player before blockers are declared. And
Okay.
then make them block how you choose. So you can actually change up players and also make them block specific creatures.
Okay.
And you
That's
don't have to
cool.
change players completely.
For sure.
It's such a weird card.
That okay. I honestly I think that it might be a little bit better than false orders in that respect, but I think that like false orders is just a nice card to just hold in your hand until it's necessary.
Yeah. Melee is something that you have to be prepared for.
Yeah, you know exactly when you're going to cast your melee effect because you've decided, okay, I've built up this little army here, and I'm going to swing at the player who's they've got a decent number of creatures, so I know that I'm going to be blocked, but they don't have a lot of big creatures. Like this deck really would like a lot of token decks to play against.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm seeing.
Speaking of, but I wanted to add cards that give people tokens.
Ooh, okay.
Just so that they block with them, right? Like you can
Right.
make some deals there and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you this token so that you can block this creature, and this creature won't deal any damage to you as long as you block it."
Yeah. That's that's funky.
Yeah, I like deals like that.
I like that too.
There is one card in this deck that gives people tokens, uh,
Interesting.
and
What is
that
that?
is Dowsing Dagger.
Ah.
So when it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 2/0/2 green plant creature tokens with Defender.
Nice.
It then says equipped creature gets +2/+1. The equipped cost is 2 of any mana, and it says whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may transform it. And when you do,
Quick
it's a
note in
land
there.
that taps for 3 mana.
Lovely.
I think overall, this card is just so nice for the deck.
It really is. It gives your opponents blockers that helps you. And then it turns into something that gives you more mana. And like this deck definitely has like a lower curve on average, but like there's still some like stuff that gets pretty up there.
To be fair, the reason why I put so much ramp in this deck
Hmm.
is because you, with Norin, Swift Survivalist, you
Hmm.
have to cast the creature this turn.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And red is we're not playing any green. And so we definitely need to have access to a decent amount of ramp.
Exactly. And so I put in a bunch of artifacts that just ramp you,
Perfect. Yeah,
including
because
Cage Sun,
fun. We love our Cage Sun.
especially in a colorless deck. Ooh, man.
Colorless.
Or,
Are
sorry,
we
monocolored.
are we foreshadowing?
What? No, no, not at all.
No. Tune in next week.
Now a very, very funny card I added
Mhm.
in,
Okay, hit me with it.
and that is Ashling's Prerogative. It is
Oh.
1 of any mana and a red for an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, choose odd or even.
Mm.
0 is even. Uh, each creature with
I'm
converted
glad
mana
they specified
cost
it.
of the chosen value has haste. Each creature with
Wow.
converted mana cost of the chosen value comes into play tapped without the converted mana cost. Sorry.
Whoa. Got you. Got you. That I like that it gives you the choice because it seems like our odds no our even CMCs are definitely more than our odd CMCs. So there's a lot more things that we can on average do with the even choice on that card as opposed to the odd. And if our opponents have more odd, then like, that's just pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's like Authority of the Consuls.
Oh, that's a pet card of mine. I love it.
A
I
pet
wish
card
I
of
had more copies of
mine that you may have
it.
seen in last week's deck tech
Oh.
is Mirror of Life Trapping.
Ah, I see it again here.
uh, it's a very funny card. I'm not gonna read it
Mhm.
all out because you probably heard it from last week. If not, you should
You could
go
also probably
watch that video.
pause the video here and read it, but also go watch last week's video.
Yeah,
I
true, true.
wasn't there, but it seemed like a lot of fun because I listened in.
But Mirror of Life Trapping in this deck really helps out with the enters the battlefield triggers.
Perfect.
Because it also temporarily gets rid of your opponent's creatures while also getting enters the battlefield double enters the battlefield triggers on your creatures. Which is really, really nice for 4 mana.
Interesting. Because, oh my god, yeah, no, that's really going to be good for your ETB effects.
It
Wow.
almost doubles them. It doesn't exactly double them
It
because,
it kind of does. Like, I don't know. You're probably, like I said, our CMC average is pretty low for this deck, and we have a commander that comes in turn 1. So like no complaints there. But because of that, we're probably going to be playing several creatures per turn. And that's going to leave us with the option to use it as almost like a Panharmonicon.
yeah. And of course, I don't want to add Panharmonicon in there because if I remember correctly, it's kind of expensive.
It's a little,
Uh,
yeah. Um, but there is one card that I had a question about as to why it's included in the deck.
okay.
And that was Eldrazi Confluence. It's a good card, but there's not a lot of ways to create colorless mana in the deck, so I was wondering why you have it on the list.
Yeah, I need to fix that. So the reason why it's on the list, besides the fact that I
It's good
may or
utility.
may not need to add more colorless lands, uh, is because
Shouldn't be too hard to fix, yeah.
is because of the blink effect on the card.
Mm, that's true, because we don't get a lot of blink effects for mono red, and so having it on like an Eldrazi type thing with like the colorless and stuff, that's pretty useful.
Yeah, especially considering it's colorless. It's really nice to see it in colorless
Absolutely.
because, like you said, you don't see a lot of it.
Oh
I
my god,
mean,
I'm
like
so
the only
stupid. That's
card.
what I that's what I meant by colorless instead of Eldrazi type thing. What the hell am I saying?
But like the only other card before it that blinked was Conjurer's Closet, which is also in this deck.
Naturally. I'm surprised that it's as cheap as it is.
Conjurer's Closet or Eldrazi Confluence?
Both of them, honestly. Conjurer's Closet, I mean, I guess it's higher end of the price range than
Yeah,
the. It's a little up there, but
I didn't
it's worth it.
100% want to add it in, but at the same time, it was a big card for this deck, so.
It's really worth it, honestly. Like, I don't think it's a bad include, and the deck still ends up being pretty cheap on average for a commander deck. So, you know.
Yeah, it's on TCG Player, it's about 70 to 79.
Yeah,
On
like
Card
70 to
Kingdom, it's about
80-ish.
112 to 119.
Yeah, you really just gotta pick whether or not you want to get it in a bunch of packages sooner and cheaper, or wait a while and spend a little bit more to get it all in one package.
Yeah, for sure.
That's at this point, that's kind of the difference that I can see between them.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Mhm.
I forgot. There is one more effect that changes up blockers.
Oh, please.
It's a creature this time. Uh
Oh,
so it is Balduvian Warlord. 3 mana of
oh,
any color, a red for creature human barbarian. It says tap.
okay.
I'm actually gonna pull up the rules text for this because yeah.
That's a lot
Uh
of text, yeah.
Tap, remove target blocking creature from combat. Creatures it blocked that no other creature blocked this combat becomes unblocked. Then it blocks an attacking creature of your choice. Play this
Mm,
ability only during declare blockers.
okay.
So this is
Yeah, no,
another
that's pretty
false
good.
orders.
I like it. It's on a stick.
Yeah,
It's repeatable.
which is a big thing. Like for
100%.
mana for a 3/2 that does that is really nice.
That's really good. And I like that it's tapping, and it's literally just tapping as opposed to spending some mana on it. Like, you just keep that guy on the field for a little while and you're going to see a lot of stuff, cuz my brain went also like you could Oh God, what's that one thing? You imprint an instant or sorcery onto the thing, and then you can just cast that instant or sorcery.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking
Isochron
about.
Scepter.
Isochron Scepter. I was gonna say Isochron Scepter could be pretty good for false orders, but you don't need it because you have the Balduvian Warlord.
Yeah, true.
We got old Baldy over here.
Old Baldy Warlord.
Old Barty, old Barty Wars.
uh,
But now that we are talking a little bit more about the creatures, what are some of like the key creatures that you think really make this deck like work? Because there's a lot of cool stuff here. I've been taking a look as we've been talking, but I really want to hear what your thought process was putting some of them in.
uh, a lot of the cards that I did want to add in were cards that have to be blocked,
Mm,
but you'd be surprised how little of those exist in red.
interesting.
So let's see if
Yeah,
I
no, I feel
can.
like there'd be more. I really do feel like there should be more.
Yeah, I think there's a total of three.
Wow,
So the
that's
first one
weird.
is the most recent. It is
Uh-huh.
Fear of Being Hunted. I won't go through the whole card, but
Mm.
it does have haste and must be blocked if able.
Oh wow.
The next one. Nope. Hold on. There it is. Goblin Fire Fiend, which has haste.
Ooh,
Defending player blocks Goblin Fire Fiend if able, and it has a fire breathing effect.
lovely. We love fire breathing effects.
They're so nice.
They're
Uh,
they're a nice little mana sink because I feel like there's gonna be a decent chance that you're gonna have some leftover mana if you're not getting as many like effects off of like Norin and stuff. Sorry, did that make sense? I might have said that really weird.
no, it makes sense.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like if you don't have too many creatures where you're trying to attack and get it blocked so that you could recast it with Norin, and then get some of those like burn effects off of your Impact Tremors and Warstorm, like this is just a pretty nice way to get some like quick damage in.
Speaking of quick damage, you previously mentioned Caldera Helion.
Yes.
Uh, I like this specific kind of enter the battlefield effect of kind of board wipe,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of Helions in this deck that do a very same thing, and
Nice.
Caldera Helion says when it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to each creature. Chaos
Mm.
Maw says when it enters the battlefield, deal 3 damage to each other creature.
Mm.
Crater Helion, when it enters, deals 4 damage to each other creature, uh,
Wow.
which is probably going to get rid of almost everything.
Yeah, that would do it.
And there's one more, Volcano Helion. Uh,
Mm.
it has Echo X, where X is your life total, which is funny. Um,
Yeah.
and when it comes into play, it deals an amount of damage of your choice to you and target creature. This is the funniest one.
Wow. That's still a really I don't think I've ever seen an effect that's similar to that on any other card.
Yeah, like the only really card I can think of, which is referencing our first video
Mm.
from Life Switcher, is
Yes.
Illicit Auction.
Ah, hold on, let me look up illicit auction.
Yeah, it's not a popular card even in the slightest. But this card is very reminiscent of that,
Oh,
and I love
that
it.
card. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. That's cool though. I really do like that. And I feel like with some of those effects, like the Helions and stuff, you could do something where you have like Mirror of Life trapping on the field, and then you cast that, you get its ETB effect, and then you cast another smaller guy, like one of our one CMC creatures, like Goblin Cadets or Goblin Javelineer, that's a fun word. And then like do that so that you get a second Caldera Hellkite effect, and your Goblin Cadets is safe.
Speaking of, Goblin Cadets is a very funny card in this deck.
Yeah?
So, it's 1 red mana, creature goblin. Whenever it blocks or becomes blocked, target opponent gains control of it. And it's a 2/1.
I see what you're doing there.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
In case you don't know, with Norin out, it'll actually exile Goblin Cadets before Goblin Cadets goes to target opponent. So it's actually just a 1 mana 2/1 with basically summoning sickness, but like that's not bad.
And even if you don't have like Norin out, it gives it to your opponents, and then that gives them a blocker, like what we're trying to do with like the Dowsing Dagger.
Yeah, exactly. Like no
That's
matter what,
nice.
you are winning with this card.
Your Goblin Cadets is doing work in this deck. I like that. I like this commander. It activates a lot of cool jank cards.
Speaking of,
I keep triggering stuff.
You do. It's very funny.
Oh god.
Speaking of, there's this very funny oldish card, Clockwork Beast. 6 of any mana. When it enters the battlefield with 7+1/+0 counters on it.
Weird, but okay.
At the end of combat, if it attacked or blocked this combat, remove one of those counters.
Whoa.
And then you can tap X, tap it to put up to X+1/+0 counters on Clockwork Beast. This ability can't cause total number of +1/+0 counters on it to be greater than 7. Activate only during your upkeep. We do not care about that last ability. I just want to say.
Interesting. I think it's a cool ability though, and that could do some work in the deck.
It is nice. But you ready for this secret hidden tech?
Please hit me with it.
So you cast Clockwork Beast. Turn goes around the table. Yep. It's a 7/4 for 6 mana. Not that great.
It's decent.
But you attack with it, and then someone blocks. Suddenly it goes to exile with Norin, and you can cast it again, and it's still a 7/4 instead of becoming a 6/4 like it would originally.
That's pretty nice. It's a lot of mana, but it's pretty good.
Like for a 7/4 that no matter what will be a 7/4, I think is pretty worthwhile.
I think it's definitely worthwhile. I think it's an interesting case because you don't see a lot of +1/+0 counters.
Yeah, that's the funniest part about this card.
That's a funky card. That's beautiful though.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go over a cycle of cards.
Go for it.
Because they all have the same ability, but they're different powers and toughnesses. They're Laccoliths.
Laccolith. Yeah, no, I see them in a line.
Yeah, because they all start with Laccolith. So the Laccolith kind of cycle, there's 4 of them, and each of them say, whenever it becomes blocked, you may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature. If you do, this card deals no combat damage this turn.
Huh.
So with Norin, you can change up those triggers however you want because they both trigger at the same time. So you can start off with...
Oh my god, you're right.
A Laccolith dealing damage to target creature, and then putting a Laccolith into exile if it were to die.
That's pretty cool.
So even though it would deal no combat damage this turn, it still does some damage before it goes away.
That's
And
super
you
cool.
still have it back. Untapped, even.
Beautiful. I love it that. And I love that like there are like it's the same effect on different cards that have different powers and toughnesses and just like it scales. It's you get like the whelp out earlier on, you get the grunt, the warrior, and then finally the titan. And then you get it blocked and it just deals 6 damage. And then bada bing bada boom, it's safe, you recast it, and then you have it again to do the same thing next turn.
Yeah, it's really, really
So
nice.
so correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm seeing the like strategy for this deck is to get a lot of stuff out really early on, and then after a while, you're just going to want to use your turn to just like loop your guys in and out of exile.
Yep, that's basically the gist. I mean,
That's
like,
pretty cool. This is a really interesting deck. I knew once I saw Norin that there was going to be something really interesting that you could do with him, but yeah, I think you blew it out of the park.
like I know this card is great with blink effects. I know. And I put a little bit in.
Yeah, honestly, I think that what you did with it is more effective than Blink because it adds a reliability to it and it plays on a part of Norin that not a lot of people are going to look into, which is like the block effects. Like I don't think that I've ever heard of a deck that does stuff with blocking like this one does. And I think that that gives it a little bit of an advantage, even if that advantage is like the element of surprise.
Yeah, exactly. I love the element of surprise with this deck. It's so fun.
Absolutely. And it puts your opponents into a weird position where they're like, okay, now I have to really think about what I'm blocking as opposed to trying to block to kill.
Yeah,
Cuz
exactly, because they
cuz you're
won't be able to block to
you're
kill.
never going to be able to block to kill. Like that's just how it is.
And that's part of the reason why I put in a lot of ramp as well, is because
Absolutely.
people are going to want to get rid of Norin before you actually get a good amount of stuff out.
Totally. Do you have any protection for Norin or
Uh,
honestly, I don't know if you need protection for Norin because of how cheap he is.
yeah, I was going to add some, but then I was like, Norin is 1 mana. If Norin
Mhm.
dies, it's just 3 mana.
Yeah, it takes a couple of like single target removal spells or even board wipes to get Norin up to a price that's harder to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, even by the time it gets to 5,
Hmm.
more than likely, if 2 removal spells were used on Norin, it's gonna be turn 5.
Absolutely. And also, like, Norin as a commander, even though he is a powerhouse in this deck, there's not a lot of cases that I can see people being like, Norin is more powerful than my opponent's Muldrotha or my opponent's like commander that is doing X, Y, or Z. My opponent's Gishath, my opponent's Atraxa. Like in a meta where a lot of these commanders are doing like crazy big things, Norin's going to be a little bit of an underdog, and that's going to be something that is an advantage for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh,
I I really like this deck. It's super interesting strategically.
yeah, I love it because it just, I don't know. It just like makes everything a bit more complicated for your opponents.
And for the bit, it's
Yeah,
literally just
exactly.
one big deck that is like, I'm just gonna do this shit because I want to, and I think that this is
You
fun.
can I like to see this deck as like vigilance period.
Genuinely.
Because you attack, someone blocks, your creature comes back into the battlefield untapped as long as you have the mana. Like,
Like that's just beautiful. And you are the one who gets to choose unless you're playing against like a deck that has a lot of goat effects, you get to choose whether or not you want to swing with your higher mana stuff.
and and there's
Hmm.
some cards that kind of get rid of the creature even if they blocked it and even if you remove it from combat.
Ooh, speak on that. Let's hear it.
All right. My favorite one. is Basalt Golem.
Ooh. All right, let's see what you
It's
got. Basalt
from
Golem?
Tempest, I believe.
I think that's Mirage, actually.
Oh, that's Mirage. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
You're good.
But yeah, but it's from Mirage and has not been reprinted since. It's
What? No. That's crazy.
it is 5 mana of any color for an artifact creature that cannot be blocked by artifact creatures. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
Whenever it is blocked by any creature, uh, destroy that creature at the end of combat and put a stone token onto the battlefield under control of that creature's controller. And it's a 0/2 wall.
That's pretty cool. I. Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's just good.
Yeah, so
That
an important part about that card is it does it
that's
at the
21
end
cents.
of combat.
Oh, that's sick. I love that.
So
Although
it's
I wonder
basically
how
Death
that.
Touch for this deck.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, does that ability go? Yeah, no, that ability would go onto the stack of before
Yes,
you
so it
wanted to
becomes
exile.
a ability that will resolve later. Uh, there's a lot of abilities that do this. Uh, Notably, something that I misspoke on. Uh, it actually sacrifices the creature at the end of combat,
Mm,
so it gets around indestructible and hexproof.
that's so cool. And if you have and if you use your false orders, boom.
Exactly, you destroy any
You
creature
get
you
rid
want.
of their biggest creature that could have indestructible.
Yeah,
If we and I don't want to do any more spoilers for next week's episode, but if you were going up against that commander who ends up getting indestructible for any number of options because of how versatile it is, check that episode out. You're gonna like it. Um, but you just block it with a basalt golem, exile it with Norin, and then you've dealt with your opponent's commander, and you have your basalt golem again.
exactly. Uh, so that's not the
Actually,
only card that does this.
actually, I lied because it can't be blocked by artifact creatures.
Oh,
But
that's
same
true.
principle. Same
Yeah.
principle.
So there's another effect that does this.
Okay.
Except it's not at the end of combat and it doesn't sacrifice the creature.
Oh.
So it's less powerful. But it is an enchantment.
Okay. Okay.
It is no quarter. 3 of any mana and a red for an enchantment that says whenever any creature blocks or is blocked by a creature with lesser power, destroy the creature with lesser power.
Oh wow. That's pretty great.
So, say you have
So we got no quarter and close quarter.
yeah, exactly. I know it's pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Say you have oh, I don't know, what was it? Whiptail Moloch.
What? Oh, there that is.
Well, I'll cover the card since I can.
What a weird little guy.
It's 4 of any color and a red for a 6/3 that when it enters the battlefield deals 3 damage to target creature you control.
What on earth?
But notably, it's a 6/3. So you attack with it, someone blocks with a 1/12, for example.
Mm.
Normally, the 1/12 would not die. But with no quarter, it actually just dies.
Or even if they wanted to block to kill it, but they be trading because they have something like a 3/4 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That still kills it. That still makes their choice to block it harder.
And this is on declare blocks. Which
Oh, God,
means
that's even
with
better.
Norin, your creature loses nothing, and they lose a creature.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. This deck just gets better with every card that it gets mentioned. Oh my god.
So I wanted to put in effects that burn people for casting stuff from exile.
Mm. Okay.
The only other effect I could find besides a card that's almost $20
Yeah.
is Unstable Amulet.
Ooh, okay.
So it's one of any color, one of any mana, and a red for an artifact that when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Don't worry, we don't use energy in this deck.
Gotcha.
Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals 1 damage to each opponent.
Oh, wow.
And then you can tap
That's
it,
pretty
pay 2
nice.
energy, and exile the top card of your library, and can play it until you exile another card with it.
Nice. So that so like it gives you one activation for free of it, and then you just get like the rest of you keep it on the battlefield for the rest of the game, and you're burning your opponent.
Exactly. And with
Beautiful.
Norin, you're going to be burning your opponents a bunch.
Absolutely.
And I love that. It's so fun. Cuz
I
like
really do
people
like
will
that.
want to get rid of this card when it's just a 2 mana card.
Yeah.
Like
It's going to like the damage is going to add up.
yeah, I like bringing up cards like oh, I can't remember the name of it, but basically at the beginning of each upkeep it deals 1 damage to that player.
Yeah, those kind of effects are just good.
Like at first you're like, "Oh, 1 damage, that's not enough." Over the span of 4 turns,
Over the
that's
span of 4 turns,
12 damage.
where you're getting burn from stuff like Warstorm Surge, Impact Tremors, Agate Instigator, and then on top of that combat damage, like that's all going to add up. And that's in a what like 2-player game. That's not including other people dealing damage. Like Commander, if you're not playing 1v1 is a typically 4-person game. So you're not only having to contend with the damage that you're dealing, also other people are dealing damage, and that one damage is going to start to grow over time.
It's really really nice. And I
It's
think
real good.
like people having to use a 2 to 4 mana removal on this 2 mana card, it
Is just
seems so funny.
That's card advantage right there.
Exactly. Like
That
even
is
if
an
someone assassin
unstated
trophies
moment.
it, you get a free land.
You get a free land if they like, I don't know, what are artifact removal spells?
I know, right?
Corrosion grip it. You're technically netting a mana there because you spent less mana and probably got more out of it than their single target corrosion grip.
Like the
Or
only card I can think of that kind of uh, is worthwhile for them is Smelt, but
I
no
was thinking
one runs Smelt
also
because it's
Nature's
a
Claim.
very
Na-
specific card.
Nature's Claim is real good.
Oh, true.
Nature's Claim. All right, if you're playing against Norin, run Nature's Claim.
Ah, yeah, something that you can just do in Commander.
Exactly. You just use your sideboard that Commander notoriously has.
Speaking of sideboard,
Mm.
I even though it's technically maybe board because of this deck,
For sure.
um, I I wanted to add in a couple cards.
And then the $20 card.
Okay, this is a card that works in this deck and is basically just a Warstorm Surge on a stick.
Beautiful.
Terror of the Peaks.
Woo!
I feel like I
Love
don't
to
need to
see
read off this
it.
card.
It's Warstorm Surge with flying and ward basically pay 3 life.
Basically, yeah.
Like, it's just good. It's just good. And there's a reason that it's $20. Like, you just can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, Warstorm Surge, for reference, is 1 more mana than this card.
Yeah, so it's cheaper and it's on a stick with trample.
Like, what more could you ask for?
What more could you ask for?
Maybe like a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I mean, but then you're getting kind of pushy there.
True.
Yeah, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, every
Yes.
single card that we did not cover so far is either
Mm,
ramp or
okay.
cards that say whenever they become blocked, they deal 1 damage to likely the creature that blocked it, or target creature or target player.
Ooh, that's just nice. That's just good. That's just continuing your burn effects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And especially
It's
when cards are like
it's a
1 mana
smarter burn
for it,
deck. Yeah.
like Simian Sling.
Oh God, where's Simeon Sling? Oh God. Yeah, no, that early on is just gonna be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Because even if you turn
I
1 it doesn't have haste. Turn 2, you cast Norin, swing in with Simian Sling, someone blocks it, deals 1 damage to the defending player, and then it goes into exile,
you
and then you
recast
cast
it.
it again.
And then yeah, oh my God. You read my mind there. I was thinking the exact same thing. That's just holy shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, all of those
Oh,
effects in this deck are powerful.
100%.
Especially the ones with only 1 mana on the cost of the card.
Oh, beautiful. Simply amazing.
It's as shrimple as that.
Rimple. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I like this deck. We'll see how it plays out, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you want to go even cheaper with this deck, you
Mhm.
can do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, I like there's so it's already a really cheap deck for Commander, but like I totally think that you can just like swap out some effects and then get it even cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't even have to run with the block effects. You could run with just enters the battlefield. You don't
Yeah,
have to run like some of the expensive cards.
I do think that the casting from exile aspect is cool. Like you could do stuff with like wild mage sorcerer. What is there's a lot of different ways that you can build Norin, but I really think that people should look into the options of blocking things because
Yeah,
that's just going to be interesting.
it no matter what, it makes a game interesting because people actually have to think about it more.
Absolutely.
And I like those kinds of decks, mainly because you don't have to think about it more.
Exactly. They're
You
trying
just
to do
attack.
4 they're doing 40 chess and you're just like, "Ha, I'm going to attack with this guy." As long as you have the open mana to attack, or you have the open mana to recast what you attack with, it doesn't matter what they block with. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it. Not crazy,
Yeah.
but I like it.
It's a really interesting deck that I think that it plays a lot on your opponent's strategy, and I think it would be a fun deck to even play against. Because not only is it something you don't see every day, it's something that like you really have to like put your strategy brain on when you're playing. And personally, I like it when I have to like really strategize to be like, okay, is this actually winnable for me?
Yeah,
And also, it burning commander, that's hard. That's a little hard to do. But I feel like this deck just red deck wins its way into it.
it really does. Yeah, there's a reason why on Tapped Out I put one of the hubs as red deck wins is
Oh God,
because
did you?
yeah, I did.
That's great.
Just because this deck does a lot of fun stuff, and most of the fun stuff is burn, and
Oh,
of
it's
course
it's it's a
burn is
simple
classic.
beauty.
It is.
It is a simple beauty.
You don't gotta think that hard with this deck. You just first main phase do nothing, combat swing with everything. Second main phase probably cast all of the creatures that they blocked.
Yeah,
Like, you don't gotta think that hard. The only time you gotta think that hard is when you got like false orders or melee.
for sure.
And then you gotta be like, hold on.
Okay, now we're doing like complex math.
Mm-hmm,
Let's
mm-hmm.
see what we want to like make them block.
But yeah. Uh,
I love that that Norin's entire character trait is just I'm scared of stuff, so I'm gonna keep running away.
and always has been. That's the best
And
part.
always has been. That's OG Norin is the exact same way.
Yeah, except even more blinky.
Except even oh yeah, no, I think this newer Norin has gotten it's a little bit more brave because that original guy was just like, "Nope, fuck this shit, I'm out," and then like dips.
The funniest part is the original Norin is a warrior.
I know, and they changed him to a coward in the newest. That's so good.
It's great. Yeah.
His first flavor text being "I have a bad feeling about this" is just like, oh god, the marvelification of magic was happening way back in the antique eras of 2006.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
god.
And I love both of the flavor texts, like with Norin's with Survivalist. It's just like
I don't know what it was. Why would I stick around to find out?
exactly, and it's just like a gremlin in the background, like
Oh, that's just so good. It's just like a little. He's scared of a little guy.
yeah.
Like, come on, dude. That's just a little dude.
He's
You're
just
fighting
chilling.
alongside those little dudes in your deck.
Yeah, exactly. But too bad. I guess you're scared of him too.
He's facing discriminate. This is discrimination in the workplace.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add or
Oh god, I don't know what else to say. I feel like we've covered the gist of everything.
yeah, I think so. All right. Well,
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing.
yeah. Thanks for listening on to our Doomsday cast.
Oh yeah. Doomsday.
Uh, I should have just ended it there. Dang.
Yeah.
Well, like and subscribe. Maybe, just maybe, hit that bell.
Oh my god. I don't know if we can ask that.
I know, right? Like
Hit that bell at your own risk.
at your own discretion. Like,
You may face serious side effects such as excessive sweating, severe plaque psoriasis, heartburn, an increased attraction towards nerds, and possibly even death, but only in severe cases of hitting that bell.
yeah, you got it. You covered all the side effects. That's pretty
Uh,
impressive.
Thank you. I'm training to be one of the people who talks fast in those like medication
I
ads.
mean, hey, you got to start slow, and then you can ramp it up.
Exactly. See, I feel like a lot of people just like give up really early on because they're trying to have that speed. But you got to build up to it. It's not easy. Take it slow.
All right. Anyway,
All right, thanks
peace.
for watching. Sorry, I'm Oh god.